Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to today's Hindu newspapers Delhi edition. And yeah, so you see the front page over here. So, this front page is an advertisement from the Karnataka administration. So, it tells us about some of the important schemes that the Karnataka administration is taking up. So, this, if somebody is preparing for Karnataka public services, for them it will be helpful. So they should expect state-based questions. Besides for UPSC also, especially from the governance point of view, right? So governance point of view, we can quote some schemes or measures that respective states are taking. So here we get to know about Karnataka. And schemes also can be asked in prelims. So that is a given. Okay. So first we get this revolution in citizen services. So there is, the talks of e-governance and what is the government doing to be citizen friendly. So there is one initiative known as Gram 1, initiative to provide all citizen-centric services under one roof at village level. So whatever schemes, whatever things are there at the government at a village level, the people know that there is a dedicated place they can go and avail that scheme. So it becomes easy. One point of contact, it becomes easy. So Jan Sevaka project launch provides government services to citizens at their doorstep. So these are some citizen-centric services. Then in the realm of education, what the administration is doing, it is trying to attract investments. Further, there is the scheme known as Amrita scheme, which is having various developmental programs. So whatever development related is doing there, it is under the umbrella of Amrita. Okay. Then we have schemes from the point of view of welfare of the SC and the ST community. Okay. So we can quote them. Or you can actually zoom this. So I'm not reading the same thing which is given over here. Mukhyamantri Rehta Vidya Nidhi Yojana. So see, Nidhi, Vidya means education, Nidhi means fund. So here again, you can make sense of what this would be. Scholarship for the students. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Saman Scheme. Okay, so money, income support to the farmers. Okay, Nekar Saman is associated with which of the following? So Nekar Saman is for the weaver community. Now moving forward to the front page. Recently, there were amendments made to the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So first of all, what is money laundering? So, money laundering is an act by which the ill-gotten money is made legitimate. So black money, turning black money into white money, or money that has come from illegal activities like kidnapping, drug trade, whatever. So concealing that money and making that legitimate money, this is money laundering. UPSC keeps asking questions from GS3 internal security in this area. Okay, now this has been, an amendment has been made under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So the agency that implements the Money Laundering Act, it is Enforcement Directorate. So to implement the Money Laundering Act or Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the powers of the Enforcement Directorate has been strengthened. So they have gotten unbridled powers, right? So unbridled powers of summon, arrest, raids, and makes bail nearly impossible. It says that the money laundering is an heinous offense and as comparable to terrorism. Then we also know that many of these political leaders, many of the dissenters also, maybe dissenters, they have been charged with money laundering. They have ED is put on them. So it is a concern that these laws can be used against rival politicians and dissenters. So naturally, this was, they appealed, especially the political leaders, they appealed, they went to the Supreme Court about this increase in powers of arrest under Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So Supreme Court has held this changes in the Prevention of Money Laundering Act as legal, as legitimate. They have said that these changes are not arbitrary. Money laundering is a very, very serious offense, and this has to be solved. So in light of that, the powers given to the Enforcement Directorate are reasonable. Okay. So Commonwealth Games are to commence on Thursday. So this will take place at Birmingham. Okay. So yeah, BSNL gets 1.6564 lakh crore lifeline. So center has provided them, BSNL is cash strapped. It's a PSU company which was providing telecom and all those things. So center has provided them a financial lifeline, 1.64 lakh crore. We will have more of BSNL in the business section as to how the BSNL is playing an important role in improving rural connectivity, especially providing 4G in all of rural India. In some time, to make rural India get 4G, BSNL will be playing the major role. Okay, this article is important from the point of view of GS1, replacement level fertility achieved. What is fertility, first of all? So fertility is number of children per woman, right? So how many births a woman shall give. And replacement level is that the population, if more children are born, the population will increase, and there are some people who are dying. So replacement level is that people who are dying, people who will eventually die, and the people who are being born remain the same. So the population is getting replaced. So overall, the population remains stable. So that is the goal. We neither want the population to come down. We don't want the population to go up. So we want them at stable. So replacement level. So people who, mortality will take place and the number of births should match. So this is at 2.1 over here. So the Minister of National Women and Child, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Bharti Praveen Pawar. So she has said that we are at this level, more or less, we are at this level. So 31 states and UT have reached a total fertility rate of 2.1. So 2.1 or less, 2.1 actually, according to UN, it is 2.2. So this is the replacement fertility level. So this has naturally happened because of family planning initiatives. So use of modern contraceptives, so that demand has increased. Then overall positive shift towards spacing method. Spacing method means that the gap between the births of children. So this ideally it is recommended that this gap should be 18 months. Right? So this has increased. If the gap is less, it creates more load on the woman, a mother, and also it may affect the child of the birth of the, the health of the newborn child or the infant. Okay, so this is there. Now, what the minister is saying is that ever since this family planning thing has started, the government has been focusing on supply side, supply of contraceptives, supply of sterilization surgeries. So all that supply has been emphasized. What they should be doing is, and what the government is focusing is, that rather than government supplying things, people should demand. So demand by themselves. That will take place by means of added awareness at the level of family, at the level of community and society. So demand side aspect has to be worked upon. And I'll tell you one more thing about population stabilization. It is not just about controlling by means of contraceptives. It is also that we have to look at people. We should have people, we should focus on the development approach over here. If We have education for the girl child if the girl works right after college. So naturally, the possibilities of birth at a younger stage or a teenage pregnancy, those things automatically will come down. If urbanization takes place, so development with development urbanization, so automatically the family would look to have less number of children because they have to provide for the clothing, they have to provide for the schooling. So all of that, they will be more mindful. Okay, comply with the GNCTD Act. One second, I'll show you something. Yeah, no, this one. Yeah, Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Act. So it's the same thing actually. This came much before. This was in 2021. So same thing has been elaborated. So this Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Act, actually it is brought by the Parliament, and it is supposed to be supplement to a constitutional provision which provided statehood to Delhi. Now this law provides the lieutenant governor more powers, right? So it makes lieutenant governor more powerful as against the elected representatives. So this issue had been there. There have been a conflict between the lieutenant governor and the elected representatives, or shall we call them as the chief minister and his council of ministers. So this was going on. Arvind Kejriwal, chief minister, keeps complaining about this. This went to the High Court and also at the Supreme Court. And this thing was also picked up by the UPSC in their mains exam, 2016 and 2018, exactly matching the dates when this case was being heard. Okay, so now because of this conflict, this center parliament has enacted this law giving lieutenant governor overriding powers. So lieutenant governor becomes more important. And lieutenant governor can also direct the speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Delhi. So there are two union territories only with the Legislative Assembly. So the lieutenant governor can direct the speaker to make some rules and regulations as to how the House or the Legislative Assembly would be governed. So this time, the lieutenant governor has written a letter to the speaker, Mr. Goyal, that why are you not implementing the directions that I've given you with reference to the Legislative Assembly. So this article is all about that. So it's not important. Oh, yes, overall issue of the conflict between the lieutenant governor and the elected representatives. So that is important. Okay. Modi's, there's an editorial on that. We'll do that. Forest Rights Act. This is very, very important. GS3 means it's important. The subject matter, Forest Rights Act. So, this tribal population, like typically we people who live in urban areas or rural areas, we have property papers. Somebody who says, does this house belong to you? I can give papers and say, yes, this house belongs to me. My ancestors have been living over here. But when it comes to tribals, so their primitive way of life, documentation, etc., is not there, but they have been living on a tract of land for a very, very long period of time. So because they didn't have all these records, etc., naturally they didn't have. So they had been evicted on some grounds or the other. So the parliament enacted a law known as the Forest Rights Act. So rights of the forest dwellers. So people who have been living. So this law recognizes the community rights of the tribals in that particular area. Right. So this law has been there since a long time now, 2006. This law was introduced. These are the provisions over here. So let me just erase a bit so that you can read. You can actually take a screenshot also. Okay. So it provides for tenurial security. It provides recognition of the community right over forest and forest products, protection and conservation of community forest reserves, right? So it provides. And if people are displaced, then in situ rehabilitation of displaced person. Why would they be displaced? If some developmental activities are taking place, if mining is taking place or something. And even before that, actually, if a developmental activity also takes place, the Forest Rights Act provides for that anybody who wants to do activity, business activity over here, then in that case, the consent of Gram Sabha must take place. So Gram Sabha means collectively these people above the age of 18, so they can vote, and they may say, okay, fine, this project may take place or this project may not take place. So the recommendation of Gram Sabha is required. Okay, so this is it. Now the thing is that you have brought in a law. This law requires people should be aware of it. Tribals have to be made aware also. Otherwise, you keep making laws. What difference does it make? People for whom the law has been introduced or whom the right has been bestowed upon. So these people should be aware of it. Then only it will get implemented. You talking about developmental projects taking place and it requires consent of Gram Sabha. But people are not told that there is some provision like this. Then what is the point? So the implementation was bad. Now Odisha becomes the first state. You know, Odisha has more tribal population also, which is aiming for a full rollout by 2024. Right. So you see, there is a law that is made, law, but implementing that law will take time. This is too much of time, and still other states are way behind this. So Odisha will implement this fully by 2024. So full rollout will take place. So what is it saying further? It says that with implementation, one issue is raising awareness amongst the largely uninformed population. And for that purpose, they are forming tribal forest rights cells. For that purpose, forest rights cells are being formed in the districts, different districts of the tribal area in the state of Odisha, where the tribals are there. So forest rights cells. Now, naturally, they will inform the tribals of their rights, the provisions of this law, and tell them how, and they will train them as to how do they exercise those rights. Right, so this is it. National Commission for the Protection of Child Right conducts probe into Tamil Nadu girl's death. Right, so a death had taken place at a hostel in Tamil Nadu. So National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has sprung into action. Now, naturally, we should, we should know about this National Commission of Protection for Child Right. So this is a statutory body. You should read the website, right? You should visit the website over here. What all tasks that do, and it's very simple. It's about children between the age group of 0 to 18 years. So for that purpose, this is there, right? So you are required to visit this. Um, so from here, you can witness what all things they are doing. Do visit this. There is always this Insights and IASPrimers, all these websites are there. So you can get this in just over here, but still do refer to the website. So Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act, and it works under the administrative control of Ministry of Women and Child Development. I think that is a given. It's a natural thing. It should take place that way only. Okay, Mudra from Gaumutra. Fine. This is Chhattisgarh scheme. So Godhan Nyay Yojana. Go, cow, dhan. Okay. So what all things are doing with the cow excreta? So boosting income of cattle farmers by how? This can be used for making biopesticides and biofertilizers. It can be used in organic farming. The center also came up with something known as Waste to Wealth Yojana or Gopar Dhan Yojana. Dhan, money, wealth. Yeah, so I said that Gujarat thing that has taken place. right? So Gujarat, this bad liquor was given. So people died because of that. So in that liquor, alcohol is basically ethyl. The drinkable alcohol is ethyl alcohol. But methyl alcohol is poisonous. So these people drank methyl alcohol. And this was naturally in Gujarat, there is prohibition, liquor is not allowed. So illegal smuggling, illegal ways they get the liquor. So this is unregulated also. So methyl was added. Okay, so it was sold by the plastic pouches by bootleggers. Okay, so this article is basically a critique of the administration, which says that prohibition has to be done. There is this directive principle of state policy also, which provides for prohibition. But even in those states where prohibition is taking place, alcohol is actually being available in the black market. And when told to the police, many a times the police will look in the other direction. Now, in this case, when they say that the police will come into action, then it will be more to conceal the complicity of the administration. How did this liquor was being sold? People knew about it, people were buying liquor. So how did the administration not know about it? Why were they allowing? It says that there were certain activists who had told the administration about this wrongdoing, but the administration looked in the other direction. Then it says that the prohibition promotes this illegal economy, and prohibition also, this prohibition powers gives police lot of powers. So these powers are misused against the opposition members or people who are critical of the government. So this is what it is. The poor state of India's fiscal federalism. So fiscal expenditure, revenue, government, federalism, center-state relationship. So center-state finances. Okay, so yeah. So basically, when we look at the fiscal federalism, naturally there is the union or the center, which collects this income tax, corporate tax, excise duty. Now, so it collects some taxes, right? And there are these states. So states collect their own taxes, plus center collects the income tax, corporate tax directly. So this money is then devolved to the states, respective states, based on the recommendations of the Finance Commission, a constitutional body, which UPSC loves. Okay, UPSC mains exam. Then there used to be a body known as Planning Commission. So Planning Commission planned certain schemes, so which were known as normally centrally sponsored schemes. NREGA, right? So NREGA, National Food Security Act. So some schemes the center will plan for the states for bringing in, for bringing in this planned economy, planned way of development. So center's scheme, but the states will have to implement it. So if the states are implementing it, then they will get additional money from the center. Fine. So they will get the money from the center. So states really didn't have any choice in implementing those schemes. So what this article is basically saying is that the states have been disadvantaged in some way or the other. The overall expenditure of the states are increasing, but their ability to generate revenue is coming down. For example, most of the revenue base of the states is coming from the indirect taxes. Direct taxes like income tax, corporate tax is with the center. For income tax, we call it as direct tax because I am paying it, you are paying it, right? So people pay income tax directly. Indirect taxes when I'm buying a mobile phone or when I'm buying a pen. So I'm paying a GST on that. I'm paying a tax on that. So this tax is later submitted by the shopkeeper or whatever person. So the indirect tax was the primary base of revenue. Now this has come under the GST, and GST the states cannot arbitrarily increase or decrease. If they feel they have to increase the revenue, the states cannot do it. So the scope of the states of raising revenue has come down because of this. Okay, so this is a problem. So this article is saying, first of all, the state's capacity of increasing revenue has come down. The states are reeling under a debt crisis. The states have to borrow money. Okay. Now, when they have to borrow money also, the union can borrow the money at a lower rate, around 7%, while the state has, when it borrows, it has to pay up 10%. So different set of rules are applicable. Then now Planning Commission is not there, but there is Niti Aayog. So there is Niti Aayog, but still we have decentrally sponsored schemes. And it has been seen by experience, that the centrally sponsored schemes have not done very, very well in the states. The more important ones, the schemes which have actually given result is the schemes that the states had introduced by its own initiative. So in Maharashtra, the employment guarantee in Maharashtra, the noon meals in Tamil Nadu, local governance in Karnataka. So their schemes have done much, much better. Right? But their ability to raise revenue for the schemes comes down because they have to spend money on the centrally sponsored schemes on which they really did not have a choice because the center has said, and then only they will get the money. Okay, so this is it. Beyond this, there is a rise in income inequality. Right, so it is brought in one more point, not really fiscal federalism. So it is talking about, or we can actually relate it to income, fiscal federalism also. So income inequality has increased. So it is saying that the center, which states also, so they have failed to tax the rich classes. So, for example, property tax, this was removed. Then corporate tax has come down from time to time. It has been decreasing. So this again suggesting that overall tax base is coming down and the rich people are paying less tax. Okay, so next is the message for Biden. West Asia has moved on. Okay, so yesterday we had talked about this thing, right? So this is basically the same, the West Asia thing. I've not read this today. Okay, a future-free hepatitis. So this, let me before this, Burkapal acquittal. So this is about this recent incident, not recent incident. So the investigation, the Maoist which killed 25 Central Police Reserve Force near the Burkapal security. So it is with this investigation, this incident that had taken place in 5 years back. Okay, a future free of hepatitis. So today is the World Hepatitis Day, which has been marked by the World Health Organization. So naturally, the World Hepatitis Day, it's about creating awareness and drawing in attention of the government authorities to deal with the issue of hepatitis. Now, what is hepatitis? Hepatitis is basically a class of diseases concerning the liver. Right, so it is having number of diseases within it, hepatitis B, A, B, C, D. So number of hepatitis are there. Okay. So what are the goals of this over here? Actually, World Hepatitis Day is being 1 second. Yeah. So the idea is to highlight hepatitis care, right? So hepatitis care, so that has to be promoted. Then this care should be available, affordable, and accessible. You can please use this in your answer writing. Then eliminate viral hepatitis as a public health threat by 2030. So this is a global target. This would mean, eliminate would mean 90% reduction in incidence. That is, people got infected, and 65% reduction in mortality by 2030. So these are the objectives. So it also says that globally, approximately 354 million people are suffering from hepatitis B and C. Now, viral hepatitis is preventable. So it is preventable if we manage food, good hygiene, good personal hygiene, if we provide access to safe water and sanitation. Okay, so we have this Jal Shakti mission also, which is going on. So household connections, rural pipeline connections to each rural household. Then immunization for hepatitis B. Then safe blood, safe sex, and safe needle usage. Then besides, we need to increase the treatment. So one is about the preventive measures. One is hygiene, other is immunization, that is vaccination, and third is if somebody falls ill, so diagnosis should be there, they should be treated, right? So that should take place. Now this diagnosis, etc., is out of reach for communities. So the state needs to spend more on this so that these are more affordable, more accessible to the people. Okay, moving on to the next part. So the consumer sentiment survey, this is a report that has come from some Modi panels. Overall, the sentiment in the rural areas is not good. Consumer spending sentiment. Now there is one more consumer spending survey that is coming from the union. We'll do that. Okay, so now more of this news. MPs were suspended from Rajya Sabha. So 20th MP has been also suspended. So 20 MPs, this is a huge, huge, huge number. Revoke suspension of MPs, opposition is demanding. So, all this suspension actually weakens the debate and criticisms of the government. So that is also one dimension to it. Thousands of villages set to get 4G coverage. So 24,680 uncovered areas to get high-speed internet. How will this happen? BSNL, right? So BSNL will play a role. It has got this 1.4 lakh crore package. Now it says the project costs the more capital expenditure of 26,316 crores would be done for this purpose. Okay. Center to amend the Warehousing Act. So remember Warehousing Act, maybe something to do with warehousing. The farm laws were introduced, 3 farm laws. One of the farm laws was Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act. So even though the sentence is saying that it is about warehouse, it is improving the quality of the warehouse, it is about bringing in regulated warehouses and making sure that registration of warehouses takes place so that people are able to stock their, and these are required actually. So people are able to stock their food grains safely into the warehouses. So when the market rates are fine, they can sell. Farmers can sell at a good rate. These are required. But this Samyukt Kisan Morcha, they feel that this is like a backdoor entry. These are required, but these are like a backdoor entry for the repealed farm laws, which will favor the corporate sector. Okay, so withdraw GST on milk products. Say dairy farmers protest is going on. ICMR invites bid to develop vaccine for monkeypox. China warns US of over Pelosi's Taiwan trip. So who's Pelosi, first of all? Pelosi is the Speaker of the US Congress. Now, China claims that Taiwan is actually part of China. So there is an historical mistake that has taken place by which Taiwan has become separated. So this is China, Ulta Sea, opposite sea. And this is Taiwan. So recently, more incidents of Chinese air raids, etc., are taking place, and there is a perpetual threat of an invasion coming from China into Taiwan. So US says that we should we should express our support. So we hear that their speaker will visit Taiwan, and naturally the Chinese do not like that. Liz Truss announces new Commonwealth deal. I'm not doing this. Eventually, this will, if she gets elected, then it will be important. Otherwise, no. Okay, UAE Iran ministers hold talks to boost ties. So Saudi, Arab group, Iran, Sunni Muslim, Shia. So they are arch rivals, but UAE is known as the soft side, the softer country. So UAE is the first country which starts normalization of the ties, and then other Arab countries go into it. For example, the Abraham Accords. So now we see UAE and Iran are talking. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this is it. Government initiates work on consumer spending survey. Right, so they are doing this survey over here, and this will look into the aspect, all these government schemes, how is this benefiting the household? So they will try to study that. The exports from pharma, tea, coffee have been affected by war. So can assess situation only after situation stabilizes, and that is an indication that things are not very, very good. Okay, Fed attacks US inflation by, okay. So US Federal Bank, like we have the Reserve Bank of India, so USA has this Federal Bank. So when inflation takes place in our country, we increase the bank interest rates. The RBI increases the repo rate, so the cost of capital for the bank increases. So there is, naturally, when the bank increases the money, people start parking their money in the banks in hope of getting better interest. So the same applies for US also. So US Fed Bank has increased their interest rates by 0.75 percentage points, which is a big number. Okay. So when they have increased, so more dollars, obviously US people have dollars, so more dollars will come into the US Federal Bank. So that means people who invested in India and other parts will also, there will be an outflow of dollars into USA. Okay, so power generation capacity to hit 820 gigawatts. So by 2030, the Minister of Power, Minister of New and Renewable Energy, so he says that by 2030, the goal was 1000 gigawatts, but 820 gigawatts, which is good actually. 82% is very, very good for a government. So 822 gigawatt capacity will be increased by 2030, 8 years from now. Let's see how much they do. And 500 gigawatt of this will come from the renewables. So this was one of the commitments that India had made as part of its climate change assurances. Now moving on to the sports section. Right, so Commonwealth, then what is this? Fourth fight, Chennai Olympiad. So these competitions are going on, Birmingham Games. Okay, so this is it. This is it. This concludes our daily news analysis. So thank you for streaming in to our channel, IASPrimers, with me, Shubhashish. Bye-bye, take care, and all the best.